Joe talks about Joe. And now, your host, Joe Slepsky.
Hi, and welcome back to Joe on Joe. I'm your host, Joe Slepsky, and that theme song you heard was by our friends J Flax and the Heart Attacks. They're a DC-based band. You should find them on Facebook at J Flax and the Heart Attacks. We love it. And we also love our guest this week. We have a special guest straight from the world-famous Moth storytelling program, I guess you would say, storytelling production organization.
It's an organization.
It is because it's a .org.
It's a nonprofit.
Awesome. So my friend is Mr. Gary Buchler. Gary, welcome to Joe on Joe.
Hey.
And Gary is the producer of the LA Moth. Now, Moth is, tell our readers a little bit about the Moth.
So the Moth is a storytelling organization that promotes the art of storytelling. There's the Moth Radio Hour, which is a Peabody Award-winning radio show. It airs on over 400 markets across the country. The podcast is downloaded more than 25 million times a year.
That's nothing compared to the Joe and Joe audience.
I know, which is we're hoping to broaden our horizons by being here. And we put on live events all over the world. We're in Australia. We're in England. So I produce the events here in Los Angeles.
And you do a really great job with it.
Why, thank you.
Yeah, storytelling is, that's how I met Gary. And storytelling is it's a booming entertainment or form of entertainment.
It's very big right now.
Yeah.
For sure.
And the Moth is the name to beat. I mean, that's the one that everyone looks up to is the gold standard.
Well, I'll say thank you then.
You're very welcome. And so running it out
I
of
wish I could take credit for some of it.
Well, you run it out of LA, and honestly, that's a big. I mean, it's a huge city with a lot of really talented people, and you know you're in charge of it. So it's
pretty fun.
Yeah, that's very cool. So let's talk about you, Gary.
Let's talk about me.
You're said originally from Cleveland, Ohio.
Cleveland boy.
And how many kids you got?
We have 4.
You have 4 kids?
We have 4 kids.
Oh my gosh.
We were in Whole Foods. I don't remember. We were at Whole Foods just trying to kill some time, and we were like, "Oh, well, the kids will get a snack, and we'll sit down and eat there." And someone came up to and asked us where we were from. Like you couldn't have 4 kids and be in LA. We were an anomaly in the Whole Foods.
Please tell me you all feigned that you didn't know English at that point.
Right.
And
I was livid. I have to grow my mustache out. I'm not hipster enough to be at
You've got a tremendous beard.
3rd Street Whole Foods.
You've got a tremendous beard. I appreciate that. What ages? What?
Sebastian's 10,
okay.
And he's our oldest. Amelie's 7, and then we have boy-girl twins that are 4, Kai and Mila.
Did you ever consider going like Tomax and Zaymot?
No, like giving him a scar.
Yeah. just marking one of them. Just one
They're
of them.
boy girl, so we didn't have to go that route.
That's true. That's true.
It makes it a lot easier.
Do they feel each other's pain?
I don't think so.
But you don't know for sure.
I don't know for sure. I mean, they're pretty well articulated. I've never smacked one and heard the other one yell out from another room.
Let's not rule it out.
Okay.
Let's not rule it out.
You know what? They'll be sleeping when I get home. I'll try it out.
Okay.
I'll sneak up on them.
Sounds like a great idea.
I'll text you afterward.
It sounds like a great idea. And you're so you are also like you're a producer at large too.
Yeah, I've got some other shows I've been working on. I started another show called Shoot 'Em Up with Monty Lamonti, who it's a story about the evolution of it's a show about the evolution of story to screenplay to film. So we have a night of storytelling where 6 storytellers tell a true story from their life. They draw the name of a writer who's in the room at random, and that writer then has a month to create a screenplay based on the short, the story that they're given.
Very cool.
And it's just inspired by, so they can keep as strictly to it as they want or as broadly to it, whatever they want to do. It's just inspired by. We come back a month later. We do a live reading of the scripts. And then there are filmmakers in the room, and they get assigned a script at random, and then they have a month to shoot a short inspired by the script they're given. And we come back a month later and we screen the films.
That's really neat. How long have you been doing that?
So we just finished the first season in October, and we'll be starting up again in January.
That's so exciting. Where do you put it on?
We're doing it at Open Space on Fairfax, just by Cantor's.
Okay.
And we have a YouTube channel, and you can actually see everything on YouTube. So there's you can watch the night of storytelling or the night of the table reads. But under the playlists, we have evolution playlists. So you can watch the story, see the script that came from it, and then the final film that came from that.
That's really cool.
So you can watch it all on the YouTube channel.
Where can we find it on the YouTube channel? What's the name of the YouTube channel?
It's Shoot 'Em Up.
Shoot 'Em Up?
Yeah. I mean, there's a few different things that are called Shoot 'Em Up, but our little icon logo guy It's like the evolution of monkey to man thing.
Okay.
But one's holding a microphone, one's holding a typewriter, one's holding a camera.
Fun. We'll make sure to tweet that out, and we'll get it out to our listeners.
Thank you very much.
That's very cool. I know you told me about that, and it sounds awesome.
Yeah.
So I want to go in January.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
that's really cool. So let's talk a little bit about G.I. Joe, Gary.
Please.
Yeah. So what's your history with G.I. Joe? When did you discover it? Where were you?
I don't remember not knowing about G.I. Joe. I remember it was on in Cleveland at like 7 or 7:30 in the morning. And so I used to watch it when I was getting ready to go to school. It was like one of those things where is the show going to end before the bus shows up?
Yeah.
So that was it. I mean, I was watching it every day.
Yeah.
For sure.
And what about it like appealed to you as a kid?
mean, I don't know, there's guns and heroes.
I mean, of course. I mean, listen. What about it isn't appealing?
Right,
I get that.
right.
I get that. Did your love of the cartoon translate into the toy?
I had toys.
Yeah.
I had some of the toys, but I didn't have a lot of any toys. No one would ever come over my house because I had the cool toys, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I had I maybe had 2 He-Man. I know I had the twins for the G.I. Joe. I've been trying to remember. I know I had the twins, and I had a few other things that maybe will recur to me later. I had the raft. I don't know why I had the raft.
Oh yeah,
I don't remember how.
Sure.
And then there was a toy. I don't remember what this toy line is, but I remember my mom bought it for me, and I wasn't allowed to open it until my birthday or Hanukkah or whatever it was, and that it was sitting there in front of my door, and I wasn't allowed to open it until whatever the day was. And it was these giant alien guys. They were taller than He-Man.
Really?
And they sat on a gigantic bug that they could ride. And the feet for the bugs were a glove, and you'd put your hand in, and that's how you can make it move around. And it had wings, and the wings would flap. You know what I'm talking about?
No, but that sounds amazing.
I don't have to look it up.
That's awesome. So you cross-pollinated your play.
I cross-pollinated, exactly. So I had the He-Man and I had the G.I. Joe, but like I said, it was no one ever came to the house because we had the cool toys.
Yeah.
So I had a few. I definitely had a few.
Did you did your passion or whatever you want to call it for G.I. Joe, did that stay with you over the years? Like did you ever think longingly on it, or were you when you were done with it, did you put it away or?
No. It's always been a constant.
Yeah.
I mean, I think for our generation, it was part of growing up.
Yeah.
The Transformers, G.I. Joe, it was all part of.
Almost every comic book reader that I know that's our age, the first thing they say is, "Oh yeah, first comics were G.I. Joe." Like it almost universal.
I didn't get into comics until like junior high.
Oh, okay.
So there wasn't a comic shop within walking distance of my house, and maybe when one opened up is when I first really started to read comics. But it definitely did stick with me, especially with certain things. Like I was really mad. I was looking at your previous episodes, and you'd done the Viper.
Yeah,
and that's one. That's one episode that had always stuck with me
because it's so great.
Right,
it's so great.
It's like a campfire ghost story.
Yeah,
put into a G.I. Joe episode.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So that one had stuck with me forever.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. It's I remember when they first announced that they were coming out, on DVD or I actually specifically when I first moved into my first apartment in Chicago. I was living alone, this tiny little studio, and I was up late one night, and I forget what channel it was, but it was one of those ones that shows old cartoons. And in the middle of the night, G.I. Joe was on, and I hadn't seen an episode in probably 10 years. And it was...
Did it hold up?
It was the greatest, yes. It was the greatest day of my life. I was like 22 years old, and I'm like, oh my God.
I mean,
all of a sudden the VCR was set, and that was what I did every day.
Sure. And the other thing is, this stuff would never air today.
No.
This stuff would never...
No.
My wife wouldn't let me show this to my kids.
True. On the surface, there's a lot of that, like a lot of the pro-military and gun stuff and everything. But there's that I think there's an underlying message of, I won't say peace, but of diversity and
sure.
unity and acceptance and things like that.
And they had women in leadership
Totally.
roles,
Yep.
for sure.
People of color and all that stuff. Yeah. So I think those kind of things are great
right.
messages and do stand the test of time. Wrapped around a lot of explosions and gunfire.
Exactly. Which is what every boy wanted.
Right. Well,
exactly.
that's what's fun about life,
exactly.
right? Well, today's episode is called Cobra Claws are coming. Our Cobra Claws are coming to town, which is the Christmas episode.
I am following in the tradition of every Jewish performer and doing a Christmas episode.
Well, the footsteps of greatness, right?
Neil Diamond, Barbra Streisand, they all have Christmas albums.
It's so true. I love the Neil Diamond Christmas album, and it makes me laugh every time I listen to it.
Of course.
Yeah.
And a lot of the Christmas songs are written by Jews. So, hey, what are you going to do?
They're very. You come from a long line of very talented people.
And a paycheck's a paycheck.
Absolutely. So, without further ado, you know what, Gary? We can find you online.
You can.
Yeah. On Instagram, you are Gary B 101.
Yeah, and that's where I post mostly show-related stuff.
Very cool. And on Twitter, you can find you at Da Stay at Home Dad. DA Stay at Home Dad.
Yeah, that's where I post about baby poop.
Do you are you like a dad blogger?
I'm not a blogger.
Yeah.
But in 2009 I was basically staying at home.
Yeah.
So that's where that started.
I love it. It's a great outlet.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, for good and ill.
Exactly.
As we're learning.
Exactly.
And if you're so inclined, you can follow me on Instagram at Joe on Joe Pod, and Twitter the same, Facebook. And you can also, if you're so inclined, go to iTunes or Stitcher or TuneIn, wherever you're listening to the show, and leave me a review. Let me know if you like it. Let me know if you hate it. Either way, the attention is good. Yeah.
This is good.
Is good.
This is good.
Is good. Awesome. So we're going to get into it. Merry Christmas with Cobra Claws are coming to town. So you're gonna have to tell me if any of the vehicles strike any memories for you. We're gonna figure out which character was that favorite of yours.
They don't know what we're talking about.
Well, earlier we said you had a favorite, and he was a guy that came with a vehicle.
It was a Cobra vehicle.
Okay.
And it had 2 cockpits, and they would pivot.
Oh, was that the Stun? It was the Cobra Stun.
I'll take your word for it.
And was he a blue
and it was
Viper?
The blue guy, yeah.
He was a blue Viper.
He was awesome.
Yes, that was the I think it was called the Cobra Stun. Yeah, and they you could ride it like a ATV kind of thing,
right?
Like in one, but then it would also totally, and it was a nice size too. It was
right. The cockpits pivoted.
Yes, yeah. Cobra Stun.
Cobra Stun.
Yeah, and I think he was like the stun driver.
Yeah,
was his name. He was a blue dude.
There might have even been like a thing in the back and 2 additional things.
Yeah, I think there was. I think there was a seat
That
in the back
was-
with a round little machine gun.
Yeah, maybe.
It was like had a circular bullet wheeled on it.
That was it.
Man,
That was it for me.
This is
Cobra
like
Stun.
this is like the mystery show.
It
Take
is.
that, mystery show.
Right, exactly. It didn't take long at all.
No, not at all. So the show opens, and Cobra Claws is written by Roy and Dan Thomas, who you probably recognize from comic books. Roy Thomas, Marvel Comics.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You know,
I'll take your word for it.
Oh, yeah. No, he was the editor-in-chief of Marvel in the 70s.
Okay,
wrote
okay.
a ton of everything.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so we're in for some good comic book action. We've got Polly and Shipwreck and Dusty and
Can we talk about why they just collected a bunch of toys and now they're driving through the desert?
They're doing Toys for Tots.
Right, but what? But they obviously collected the toys from a city.
The geography on the world that G.I. Joe lives in is very weird.
Okay.
You go from desert, and now there's snow. Certainly there's snow on the ground because it's winter. But you go from a desert train to a jungle train to the Arctic in like matters of like an hour.
Where did they get the toys from? That's what I want to know.
I'd like to think there's like a small, out of the way, like Walmart, where they were collecting toys.
Oh, I see.
Well, the Rattler chased him off the road, and that is Firefly, the Cobra saboteur, who snuck out and dropped a bunch of packages, a big Santa Claus bag in their bag. He didn't sabotage them, but they didn't see him. It's 2 episodes in a row with Firefly. He's a favorite. He's got that great camouflage.
Right. He's sneaky.
I do like that their wagon is also branded G.I. Joe.
Of course.
They're trying to get...
It's all marketing.
Yeah, Cobra is the best with branding. G.I. Joe's trying to get in the game.
Right, for sure.
Because the black on red is really a good look.
It definitely is. And when you're the good guys, you have to work harder.
Yes. And red, white, and blue
They
can
have
be
a
little
huge
garish.
Merry Christmas on the base.
They've got so many
Look at all those toys.
So many toys. And it's the Happy Holiday wagon.
Did they sell that in stores?
They should have. I think we need a like a Comic-Con exclusive.
Right, exactly.
Here's what I want for the Comic-Con exclusive. I want the Happy Holiday wagon, and I want the Viper.
Sure.
As the 2 toys for the Comic-Con exclusive.
Right.
We learned that most of the Joes are gone, so the base is understaffed.
Right.
Cover Girl,
It's shorthand.
yeah, Cover Girl and Duke are filling us in on this information. And we also learned that there's a defense grid with a very easily accessible on and off switch
Of course.
that can be turned on or off by pretty much anyone. Not that that's going to come into play later.
They have the black guy serving them food.
But he's the chef, though.
Okay.
He's the chef. I know what you're saying, but he is traditionally the chef.
Okay.
They also don't give him a shirt with sleeves.
Right. Right. And the dog's eating before him also.
Well, Junkyard's a hero. Junkyard's a national hero. Uh-oh. Mutt's upset. Oh, Mutt, somebody doesn't like Christmas.
Yeah, it's a sad time for him.
Yeah. We've got at the table, we've got Mutt, Junkyard, Roadblock, Scarlet. That looks like Tripwire. Yes, it is. And Mutt's got the holiday blues.
Is he inside or outside the fence?
I hope he's inside the fence. And I hope that it's more of a, not like a slice your arm off kind of laser, more of just a protective grid.
Right,
Because
exactly.
I could imagine like a squirrel running by and
Or some
Junkyard
kids who are all excited to see the Joes.
Like, hey, I heard those Joes have a bunch of toys there. Let's go say
Right.
hi.
And there's just a bunch of, they're like Uncle Ben.
Yeah. So, of course, anytime on G.I. Joe, when you get one of the characters kind of going off on their own, you know they're going to find the trouble.
It's a recipe for disaster.
It's a recipe for disaster.
So there's a rocking horse with glowing eyes coming out.
Yep, absolutely. And Junkyard's going to have none of it. So he attacks this haunted rocking horse. And out of the back comes a bunch of tiny doll-sized people. Are they dolls? Are they people? I don't know. But one of them's Major Blood.
I don't believe this.
Teddy bears erupt. Balls erupt. There's the Dreadnoks. They're riding their ATVs, and they're all very, very small. A drum kit just turned into a bunch of Cobra claws and fangs and rattlers.
Uh-oh, smoke.
Green smoke knocking Mud out.
But he sounds the alarm at the last moment.
Yeah, this is that's a great image right there. A tiny Major Blood next to Mutt's giant head. And this is a real comic book plot, like this is.
They made themselves small.
Yeah, this is a real comic book plot.
Right.
Like, something that would be at home in,
They turned off the defense grid.
Of course they did. It'd be at home in like an issue of like The Flash.
Right.
Or Jimmy Olsen got shrunk for Christmas in an action comic, back in the day.
Right.
Firefly is back.
Was he normal size there, or is he small?
I believe he's normal size.
Okay.
And they're getting kind of buzzed. This is reminiscent of like when the Toyman would attack Superman and all the little toys.
Right. And it doesn't really hurt. It just kind of annoys.
Right, exactly.
He just blew up the plane with the butt of his gun.
Was it the gun? It looked like he elbowed him.
Oh, is that what it was?
And Firefly takes aim and he zaps a giant yellow ray, which grows them. Basically, it's a shrinking ray, or in this case, an enlarging ray.
Look, what is the ultimate goal of Cobra?
It's a good question.
Because if it's world domination,
yeah, one would say that.
And you've got a shrinking ray, there's probably better things to do than just.
Hold that thought. We're going to answer that question.
Okay.
We're going into commercial.
will return after these messages.
Today's file card feature is on the G.I. Joe Commander, codenamed Hawk. His file name is Clayton M. Abernathy. His primary military specialty is the artillery, and his secondary military specialty is the radar. Birthplace is Denver, Colorado, and his grade is a Brigadier General. Hawk was the original field commander of the Joe team before he got his general's star and was booted upstairs to honcho the entire G.I. Joe operation. He's a West Point graduate and has a list of special education credits as long as his arm, but he still managed to get the main body of his experience out there where it counts, on the battlefield. Hawk's the type of commander who goes out and gets shot at like everyone else. Troops respect that. They know he won't ask them to do anything he isn't willing to do himself, and that's why they're willing to do anything Hawk tells them. Hawk's got a keen eye, a strong heart, and a rock jaw. Hit him once and he'll ask you if there's a problem. Hit him again and you'll regret the day you were born. Even as leader of the team, when out on maneuvers, he's the point man, testing the ground for landmines and booby traps, scanning the woods for Cobra snipers. And when Hawk's got the point, he's not just the guy who goes first, he takes the lead. Hawk is a fan favorite of mine. He originally was one of the original Joes, and he was a green shirter. The second generation of Hawk then was the one in the brown fighter jacket and the green helmet that snapped over his head. And he was awesome. He looked amazing. And it was great because Cobra had Cobra Commander, and then there was Destro and his lieutenants. And G.I. Joe finally had this is a head honcho. This is Hawk. This is the man who's running the show. So I love it. I love Hawk. I love his bomber jacket outfit. I love everything about him. Clayton M. Abernathy, we salute you.
Now back to G.I. Joe.
It was a long commercial break.
It's the longest commercial break of all time. So Cobra Commander, Destro, they're all there. And they're all normal size, and they've got the Joes surrounded. So you raise the question of what do we do? So they've got a shrinking ray.
Right.
So why do this? Why
Right,
not
right.
do other things with it?
Right.
That's the universal question. And I think it comes down to that man's hubris, Cobra Commander.
He doesn't want to just win.
Yes.
He's got to humiliate Joe in the process.
Exactly. There are so many of their schemes that are foiled because he needs to come on top.
Gotcha.
He needs to be the focus of the victory. It's not so much just that they win. A couple episodes ago, Baroness had taken over, and she was winning. She was doing a good job, but that wasn't enough. Like it had to be Cobra. It had to be like Cobra Commander or Destro that was responsible for it. And that's been his downfall a lot.
Gotcha.
And I do think that they target the Joes directly because they know that if every time they try to do something on the side, the Joes show up anyway and screw them up. So in this case, hey, let's attack them while they're weaker.
Why not shrink the Joes?
Good question. In this case, before they had the chance to, I will say this, before they had a chance to shrink the Joes, the gun did break.
Right. No, but I'm just saying, even from the beginning of the plan.
Yeah. Polly
poor
knocked
bird.
out. Destro looks great in his winter coat.
Yeah.
Like he has that look whenever they go to the Arctic, they always throw him in that coat. And he
And
looks
the
so
metal's
good.
got to be cold.
It's got to be really cold, right?
Metal holds that cold in.
Right? Like Baroness's lips, if she kisses them, they got to stick
Right.
like,
Oh my
like,
gosh.
like in Christmas Story.
Exactly.
You know?
That'd be horrible.
Yeah.
When does he decide when he's wearing the hood versus the face mask?
He's very fickle. I feel like the face mask is when he's in more combat, and the
Okay.
hood is when he's chilling.
I see. So now that they're inside.
Yeah, they're inside. Maybe he might have something to eat a little later, so he'll rock the hood.
But if they're going into battle, he wants that
combat
combat
armor.
armor.
Gotcha.
You're gonna attack a city with our gear?
There we go.
And there's the big plan. So their Cobra's here to
They're gonna
frame
ruin
the
the
Joes.
name
They're
of the Joes.
I mean, it's a good name. Why, Uh-oh. They've got video of Duke, and I'm assuming he's going to be threatening the city of Keystone. Certainly is. G.I. Joe deals in disguise almost every episode. Someone is dressed up as someone.
Right. Well, that's one of the Cobra's main guys.
Well, Zartan, but often it's not. Often it's Baroness dressed as a man.
Oh, okay.
I'm hoping this is Zartan, though. Yeah, it makes sense because earlier we saw Zartan in the Dreadnoks.
Not a thing.
It can't be.
Right you are.
But try
Oh, it's Zartan. Of
Dun,
course
dun,
it is.
dun.
Dun, 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 dun.
Tomorrow, the real Duke will be aboard my
So,
Sky Striker. This will
Cobra's going to use the
Joes have turned
use the Joe's weapons to make them look like traitors, make them look bad.
Right.
They won't cause any
And they're doing it tomorrow.
They're doing it tomorrow,
with the season. Yes, put them on.
and it's gonna be a Christmas miracle. Is what it's gonna
The
be.
Joes need a Christmas miracle.
So Tripwire there, he's one of the first generation Joes, and he's not used very often.
Right.
So it's kind of fun to have him. Shipwreck is like top 5 Joes of all time.
Right.
Yeah. Did you have any of these guys? Did you ever?
I don't think I had any of them.
Yeah.
Just watch.
Now
The
besides
bird is not very helpful. Why would they? bird is not helpful. You would think they might have disposed of the bird as opposed to throwing it in the meat locker.
True, but just wait and see. We'll see how helpful Polly is. Nothing goes wasted on G.I. Joe.
Right,
Gary.
right, right. Oh, so if Polly's there, Polly has a purpose.
Polly always has a
Polly has a purpose.
Polly has a purpose, whether it's to amuse us or to save the team.
Right.
Polly always has a purpose. I do like how Junkyard is just chilling.
Well, he's chained there.
Yeah.
Shut up, will you? I got it.
Gloating is childish. Cobra, Commander.
See, this is what I'm talking about.
Right, right.
He's got him locked in the freezer, but he's
Right.
going down there to gloat.
Right.
They're not. They can get loose as much as they want, but they're not getting out of there unless they
Right.
come down to gloat. One would hope that the same downfall happens in the real world. One can only hope and dream.
Right. Exactly.
So
Imagine if Cobra Commander had access to Twitter.
there's got to be someone on Twitter that does a Cobra Commander. If not, we need to find it.
you don't
and make
know,
it.
then-
If I
then
don't, yeah,
I
I need to
definitely
make
don't
it.
know. Right,
okay,
right.
well, maybe that's my mission for for
Exactly.
Christmas break. So, what got your interest in storytelling, Gary?
I was always a performer in high school,
Yeah.
in college. I did theater. So it was always interesting to me. And then when I was home, when I was doing the stay-at-home dad thing, I needed to get involved with something, and I learned about the Moth, so I just got involved.
And so you just started going to the shows, volunteering.
I started volunteering,
Mm-hmm.
and then slowly got more involved over time.
And at one point, whoever was previously producing was like,
Well,
"Give
we-
it to him."
Well, we were doing we ended up kind of doing co-thing for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and then she had gone on maternity leave, and I was doing it by myself. So she never really came back. So there was a slow integration.
Okay.
Yeah, but definitely like a right place at the right time.
Yeah.
It was before the radio hour, so it was, especially in LA, it was still newish.
Cool. And we go into commercial with the Joes in peril, as always.
This is it, the Cobra Sea Ray.
Cobra Sea Ray, it's a fighting machine. Out to blast Joe to smithereens.
Incredible Sea Ray splits to become a mini submarine and a one-man armored glider. For attacking on snow and ice, the Cobra Wolf with twin laser cannons and special ski torpedoes.
It's the Techno Vipers.
Cobra Wolf is vicious on ice and snow and hot on the trail of G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe.
Live the adventure of G.I. Joe, Cobra Sea Ray, Cobra Wolf, and other vehicles and figures sold separately. Now back to G.I. Joe.
So
Joes are free.
yeah, Destro's got his ray, and he's blasting the Joes, trying to shrink them down, and he's really enjoying himself, which I feel like is in character because he's the weapons, he's the armament, he's the weapons like provider.
Uh-huh.
And so for him, like to watch this great weapon just be used, I feel like that's a good day for him.
Right.
Yeah. And here comes Polly
Yep, there he is.
doing the attack, and Polly gets hit by the shrink ray and becomes super tiny. Where do they record the Moth Radio Hour, the podcast?
That's all out of New York. It's where our main offices are.
Oh, cool.
So it's all done there.
Yeah, and do you help produce that as well, or?
I make recommendations based on things that happen at the events
Mm-hmm.
that I'm involved with, but those are edited and everything's curated there.
And is every episode one performer or multiple performers, or how?
Oh,
do
it's
they-
an amalgamation of different storytellers from different shows.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll pick a show and feature storytellers just from one particular event, but usually it's piecemeal.
And Moth is monthly, or how? what's
Here
the
in LA,
frequency?
we have at least 3 events a month.
You have 3 events a month. I didn't
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Oh, great.
3 story slams.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Where's it held?
We're at Los Globos in Silver Lake, and we're also at Busby's East
Yeah.
over at Wilshire La Brea. And then Santa Monica, we're trying to find a new venue there because the one that we were at closed. But hopefully we'll be back there soon.
Cool.
Yeah,
Very cool. Do you get a lot of regulars there?
we do, and it's a good mix of writers, comedians, and people who just enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
So it's not just, especially because it's LA, it's not just people who are trying to make it in the business. It's all different kinds of people.
So if people wanted to see it, we go to themoth.org, right?
Moth.org, you can see there's a calendar online there. You can see when all the events are.
And so it's LA, it's New York.
Oh, well, in America,
Yeah.
I mean, we have regular events in LA, San Francisco, Seattle, I think maybe Portland, Austin, New Orleans, Chicago, Pittsburgh, Boston. So we're all
Yeah,
over the
so it's
country
really
with the story
everywhere, yeah.
slams that are regular. And there are story slams also in Australia and England now, too. So
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's expanded.
That's great.
Yeah, very nice.
So the Joes are hot on the trail. So the Cobra's in the Joes vehicles, and they're heading towards Keystone City.
Because they're going to destroy the city.
They're going to destroy the city and smear the good name of G.I. Joe. These couple of Yahoo truckers. And G.I. Joe is the actual G.I. Joe team is in hot pursuit of Cobra.
In Cobra vehicles.
In Cobra vehicles, correct. Duke's held hostage inside in the back of a Sky Striker. And the whole world will blame G.I. Joe and Duke.
Yeah, there it is. They're
Wow.
attacking.
They're really, that's like small town. Picture Smallville from most descriptions of Superman movies. Getting attacked by an F-14.
Right.
Oh, just watch me.
City's on fire.
Yeah. And the Dreadnoks, they're riding the motorcycles, of course. Zartan's on that's a Silver Mirage. And there's a missile comes out of nowhere. Oh my gosh, who could have shot this missile? There's more missiles, Dreadnoks flying everywhere. And it's a Cobra Claw, the titular Cobra Claw.
There we go.
Blowtorch, we got a Rattler.
But we've still got one tall job ahead of us.
It's so great. And back at the headquarters, Polly has gone the other direction from shrinking
Right.
to growing.
Something happened when he...
Yeah. So it's
brought
Honey,
back.
Honey, I Blew Up the Parrot.
Yes.
That's awesome. Polly is singing Jingle Bells.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for Polly. I'm a sucker for talking animals.
Right.
I feel like every good American should be.
It's all about connecting.
Yeah.
And when they're talking back, you're like, oh, you understand me.
This is neat. They've got so Mutt's in the Cobra Jeep, and he's towing. I think that was called the Cobra Asp, which was a towed vehicle. Like it wasn't mobile on its own. Even the toy, like you had to attach it to it.
Okay.
So I love seeing like the toyetic when they use the toys in the right fashion.
Right.
It's a fun.
Well, that was
thing.
the whole point of it all, wasn't it?
Correct. But I felt like, as crass as it obviously is, I feel like it also gave you validation.
Sure.
Because you're at home and you're like, this thing you have to hook it up to another toy to be useful, and then here you see it on the show, just like owning people.
Right. What did he call her?
That witch. He did rhyme though. We love a good roadblock rhyme. Somewhere, someone's got to have cataloged all roadblocks rhymes.
Right.
That was my biggest disappointment with the. I don't know. Have you seen the live action Joe movies?
Yeah.
The second one with The Rock was fun. I mean, yeah, they're fun, but that they didn't have The Rock rhyming the whole time.
Sure.
I mean, that just would have been amazing.
Right. Keep truer to the source material. Mm-hmm. Is he doesn't even know what's going on with his bird.
No, he thinks Polly's recuperating.
Right.
Shipwreck is unaware that there is a King Kong-esque Polly on its way.
Right.
And I do love that they take to these other vehicles pretty quickly.
Right.
Everyone in J. Joe, first of all, is certified to fly. You don't have to be a pilot.
Right.
Yeah, like they have a specific pilot, Ace, but everyone can fly.
Everyone knows how to fly.
Yeah.
Warning, Cobra Commander. Land, or next time
And they also, everyone can talk to everyone in the vehicle.
That didn't make it right. Why is her Cobra vehicle automatically connecting with the G.I. Joe vehicle?
It's just the
I
way
guess
it
she
works.
could be aware of the frequency that G.I. Joe uses.
Mm-hmm.
She could
would know it.
adjust.
She would know the frequency.
Right. So
Yeah,
she
that's
could
true.
adjust.
Yeah, that is true. And because you have to have Duke be proactive, he can't just be rescued. He starts to strangle Cobra Commander.
Of course. Oh,
Cover Girl. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
right. Damn, there's the bird.
Awesome.
He catches her at the last second.
Polly.
That is a big bird.
Polly is
He's like
huge.
200 feet.
Polly is enormous, and grabs the Rattler that was crashing out of the sky and rescues it, and now is attacking the Sky Striker.
Right. And you've got to wonder, couldn't Joe, wouldn't you want to pull off the mask while you're right there?
Oh, yeah. Well, one of the episodes, it came off, and Destro was horrified by what he saw. Like, it was gruesome. And later in the movie, we learned that he's, like, part snake. So it might have been like half reptilian or something like that.
Oh, he's part snake?
Well, it depends on yes and
I
no.
remember. Is that the movie with the snake guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But he gets hit with a spore that turns him into a snake.
Okay.
But if you take that with the other evidence, that means he might really be half snake underneath it.
Okay.
And the spores just kind of augment it.
Right.
But here we are. Shipwreck is dealing with a 2-story poly, and
Why does he? Do you remember your old pal? Like he's gonna forget just
because they have an antagonistic relationship.
Oh, I see.
Polly's always picking on him, and he's always picking on
right.
Polly. So it's one of those, like a Martin and Lewis kind of a thing.
Sure.
And now Polly's twice his size.
So Polly can now squash him.
Yes, Polly can eat
All
him.
of his threats are now nothing.
Yeah, Polly wants a shipwreck.
You shouldn't have.
These two should just get together.
Christmas.
Oh,
well,
there we
yeah,
go.
but see,
It is Christmas.
he's got a
junkyard.
girlfriend. What?
Oh, that's not his girlfriend.
That's CoverGirl. He's got a
Who's
girlfriend
his
named
girlfriend?
Scarlet.
Oh, Scarlett's his
Yeah.
girlfriend.
So it's kind of
Oh,
scandalous.
look at them
but
just
we will
shaking
say
each other's hands.
It's Christmas love. That's awesome.
Christmas.
A gigantic Polly
There we
wishing
go.
shipwreck
Bah humbug.
Now he's walking away
awesome.
angry.
because he can't deal with the fact that Polly's more.
He
of
can't stop.
Polly's bigger than shipwreck.
He can't threaten his bird anymore.
Polly's bigger than even his ego right now.
Yep.
So that was it, Gary.
These were good times.
Yeah. What do you think? What's it? Bring back memories? What's it do for you?
Yeah. It's good stuff.
Any favorite characters from what we just saw?
It was nice. Favorite characters? Let's see. You gotta like Cobra Commander.
Yeah.
The threatening of shipwreck to the bird is, I don't know if in today's world if kids' cartoons could have as much animal violence,
True.
but it's such a flashback to what, like, I don't know if we said this earlier when we were recording or not, but a lot of the stuff they couldn't put on TV now. And my wife wouldn't let me show my kids this. It's way too violent.
Yeah, and
No one's dying, no one's bleeding, but
There's
it's
always
still
parachutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty militaristic.
And like when the tanks were getting shot, they managed to jump out before the missile hit them.
Yeah. Oh, they always definitely have to show that.
Right.
Well, it's funny, like if you the evolution of cartoons before G.I. Joe, the Super Friends, they struggled to get punches thrown. There's multiple tiers of Super Friend cartoons, but in the first very, very early ones in the 70s, they couldn't punch humans. So every supervillain they ever fought had to have a monster or a robot with them. Yeah. So like if they fought the Toy Man,
Because the sensors wouldn't let them.
yeah,
punch
the
another
sensors
person.
would not let you do a replicable action
That's
that
interesting.
kids could do. But
Is
kids
that
couldn't
what it
punch a
was?
robot. Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Because Tom and Jerry was from the 40s, the 30s, Bugs Bunny, and they would beat the tar out of each
Of course,
other.
yeah, they totally would. But that's why you don't see Tom and Jerry aired today.
Well, no, I know for sure.
Yeah.
For sure, but I'm just surprised that Elmer Fudd he'd get shot in the
Carry a
face.
shot, sure, yeah. I mean, it would go in waves, but
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
in the 70s that you couldn't punch people.
Interesting.
And like He-Man, he couldn't use his sword on anything. He could only
Right.
cut rocks or
Right,
stones
right.
with it.
He never touched a person with
Yeah,
it.
no, never. Yeah,
Or a
yeah.
monster.
Yeah. And it's always comes down to the replicable actions. Like,
Uh-huh.
if you can have your guys do things. So in this case, kids couldn't shoot lasers.
Right. You
Kids
can't
couldn't-
drop an anvil on your friend's head.
Right. Kids couldn't jump out of tanks. Kids couldn't shoot missiles. So they were able to do all that.
Right.
And there's
But you could lock your friend in the freezer.
We totally could. Totally could. Which I recommend to any kids out there listening.
Please.
Send a Merry Christmas message.
Exactly. Tell him Joe sent you.
Yeah, tell them Joe and Joe sent you as they freeze to death like at the end of The Shining. Awesome. Gary, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my God, this was so much fun. I'm glad we did this.
Yeah.
Well, Merry Christmas, everybody, and Happy Hanukkah.
Thank you.
And if you're out there listening, we hope you stay warm and have a great holiday season. And now you, Joe, and Joeing is half the battle.